partners in crime. I have been involved not so much in the extensive years Carl has in radio, but all things marketing and advertising. I've been privileged to work with big companies like Jamba Juice, AAA Insurance, some local hospitals in the region, to national ministries like the Bible Answer Man. But my favorite people to work with are our local church communities, nonprofits, and small businesses, because I believe that's what makes America great, and specifically with churches, that's what people need. They need the local church. And I actually serve in my local church community by the youth group with my wife Tiffany, and we're busy trying to raise 2 boys under 2, Maverick and Grayson. So after this, in the questions, even if you don't have questions, but if you have tips on how to raise boys under 2, I need that. Or if you have a webinar on that, I'll join it.
All right, thanks, Jason. Well, enough about you and me, so let's get right into today's webinar. Now, what are you going to be covering for folks today?
Well, we have a lot, so thanks for that introduction, Carl, but we're going to speed through this. Please get ready to take notes and ask questions, but also note, as Carl mentioned, we want to give every single one of you a time to look at this individually, because you'll have a lot of specific questions. This is a 30,000-foot view. We first have to see, and Carl alluded to it, we first have to see how marketing is changing, how communication is changing. What that means for your church will be addressed through all of this, and we want to specifically look at, in 3 points, how to shine online, how your church can shine online and reach more people. But before I get into it, and before I start dropping marketing terms and business terms, I want you to know, we as Christians, so Carl and I, we as a company, specifically when we're talking to churches, we believe that it's Jesus who builds the church. And these tools are simply tools. So things like Facebook, Twitter, your website, banner ads, these are simply tools that the Lord may be using in your ministry to reach people and build His church. So why I say this is, if I accidentally mention your members or potential people as prospects, I know that's marketing lingo, but we treat this as ministry, and we know it goes beyond just marketing. It's the Holy Spirit that moves within people. But we want to use these tools as good stewards. That's where we're coming from. So how is marketing changing? Well, you can't talk marketing without looking at a marketing funnel. So this is a typical marketing funnel. Now, you do still need to lead people through this funnel. They need to be aware of your church. They need to be aware that your church has a alcohol recovery ministry or a counseling ministry. So they need to be aware of these things in order to show interest and show up. They also need interest, they need desire, and they need action to actually step into your church. So with awareness, you used to have only a few options: print ads, billboards, TV commercials, radio, to capture that awareness, and of course word of mouth. We want our members sharing about the church. Then we can gauge interests. Are people actually mentioning they saw our billboard, they saw our TV, they heard the spot on the radio, or the Johnson family invited them, that's why they're here. There's interest there. Of course they need desire before they show up. How do you gauge desire? Well, or how do you help them in that moment where they have a desire to visit your church or come to one of your programs? Well, you needed to make sure that your church, your program, was in the yellow pages, for example. They needed to be able to find your address, find your number, and connect with you, and ultimately visit. But the problem with this funnel is not that you don't need awareness anymore. You don't need to help them become more interested. You don't need to help conjure up those desires to come to church and ultimately lead them to action to visit. The problem is we live in a very distracted society. If you just relied on billboards, those are expensive, but just on a billboard or just on mailers or just word of mouth, you're missing people. Next time, this weekend, if you're going out to eat, maybe after church you go out to eat, take a moment. I know you've all done this. I've done this, and it's kind of sad, especially when you see a couple, but look up from your meal and notice how many people are looking down at their phones. Or even take the NBA playoffs that we're in right now. I was just at a group of friends' house. We were watching the playoffs. This is an exciting time. This is what the NBA has been geared towards, these playoffs, these games, watching these players at the top of their game. Yet people are still not fully engaged, especially when the commercials are on, because they're looking at their phones. They're in their world. So without having to prove anything, we all know we live in a very distracted society. So this is the new marketing funnel. As you can see, you're still bringing them. You still need to bring that potential visitor down to the end to become ultimately an advocate. They've visited your church, and not only do they visit, but they're members, they're attending, and they're inviting others. That's the ultimate goal. But notice how many different ways your message of encouragement, of inviting them to your men's ministry, your VBS program this summer, look how many different ways you can reach them, or they can be reached with that message, and how many ways they can just totally hop off the funnel because you didn't interest them or you weren't easily found in search. So our goal here is just to open up your eyes as a ministry. Things aren't as simple as they used to be. With how distracted people are, you have to consider, are we reaching them where they're looking for reviews? For example, is our church on Yelp? That's something we didn't even have to think about 3 years ago, but we have to think about these things now. So hopefully you see that marketing is changing. The internet has radically changed the game in how people build interests, do their research beforehand. Yes, they may have seen your church sign or that you have a recovery program every third Tuesday, but they're going to do their research. And are you helping them make the decision to visit when they do their research online? So the way we reach people has changed. And how we break this up, because I know you look at that funnel and it's crazy. There's pieces everywhere. There's offline, online, 2 simple categories. So take a deep breath. There's 2 simple categories in how your message can reach people. And we use war terms. There are airstrikes and special forces. So one category is airstrikes. The other category is special forces. What are airstrikes? You're delivering a message, maybe just that you're a church and you're in the area, you're a new church, you have this new program, and you're going to reach a lot of people. So something like a billboard or a local TV commercial or even a mailer in your whole community, that could be an airstrike, meaning you'll reach people you weren't intending or you didn't need to reach. For example, your own members who already drive on that freeway and see your billboard. They know where you're at, or others who are already in a solid church, or they don't need that program. So airstrikes, we're not saying that old ways are dead. Don't forget about these airstrikes. That's not the point. You need to have a few of those. If you can afford a billboard, great. But are you missing out on the special forces? Very tactical approach to reaching people, being very specific, only reaching people who may be interested in basketball, for example, and attend your men's ministry. Now, let me illustrate this with a story, and I'll use a personal example. So on Valentine's Day, the day before, the 13th, you can see there, February, I was trying to reach a date. I needed a date for Valentine's Day. I was very specific in who I wanted. I live in this small borough, you can call it, this town called Crockett outside of San Francisco. Only about 3,000 people are there. And there was a restaurant. There's a restaurant called The Dead Fish, very good seafood. I wanted to go to that place. I didn't want to have to drive far to pick up my date, and I didn't have a lot of money to spend on advertising to get this date. So I had a few options. There's many billboards right on the freeway, right outside Crockett, but again, I couldn't have, money was a problem, so I wouldn't want to put out that much money. And also, there's a lot of people I'd reach who I may not want to take out on a date. So billboard, airstrikes were out of the questions. I needed to be more specific. So, being in digital marketing, I went into Facebook on my business page and I set up an ad to find the perfect date for Valentine's Day. So, I made my target. I wanted a 5-mile radius around Crockett, California. Facebook has this little gauge and it says, here's how many people you're going to reach. The closer you get to red, the more dangerous it is that you're not going to reach anyone because you're being too specific. So already with a town of 3,000, my needle was gearing towards the red. Facebook was telling me, hey, you may want to cast open the net a little bit. Maybe they saw my profile picture. They saw, hey, you need to you need to reach out to a few more fish, buddy. But I didn't just want to reach people in Crockett. I wanted to reach females in Crockett. I wanted to reach females from 27 to 28. I wanted to reach females from 27 to 28 who live in Crockett, who have also been to Boston University and have worked in the legal field. Told you I was picky. At this point, Facebook's like, hey, buddy, you're not going to reach anyone. Just start over. We can't reach anyone. But I knew the perfect target. So I sent the ad, special offer to go on a date with this guy to the Dead Fish in Crockett. Within 2 hours, I got a call from my wife, Tiffany, and she asked me how many other ladies saw that ad, saw that promotion. You see what happened? She was scrolling on her Facebook, on her phone, and boom, there was an ad from her husband saying, you only have a few hours to say yes. You don't want to miss this offer to go on a date with me. I told her, don't worry, that ad only reached you. Now, I wasn't able to put her name in who I wanted to target, but I knew my target market. I only wanted to go on a date with my wife, and I sent that ad on Facebook, being very specific in behavioral specific aspects of this target I was trying to reach, where they lived, where they've been to school, what type of industry they've worked in, and I launched it, and she's the only one who saw it. Now, at this point, she's like, how expensive was that? And I said, hey, you're worth it. I told her a few days after, is only 43 cents. So that is an example of being very tactical, using a special force type approach in your marketing. That's why you need to consider this. That is how marketing has changed the game.
Hey, Jason, so if the pastor that's listening to us right now, he wants to grow his congregation online and grow his church online, he could target right in and around, right around his church, a 5-mile, 10-mile radius. He could be that specific to target through online?
Yeah, and you can get even more specific. So I know in my church we have many different ministries. We have a whole ministry dedicated to marriage counseling. So in our efforts to reach people who need marriage counseling, we probably want to reach those who are married, who live in a 5 to 10 mile radius around our church, because no one wants to go to marriage counseling yet, let alone travel 30 miles to get to their counseling spot. So you can be very specific in mile radius, in behavioral, in their different aspects of their of how much money they make, for example, where they live. You can even target people who like the Warriors. You'd get a lot over here with all the bandwagon fans, but you can be very specific and tactical.
Yeah,
so step
that's really
one,
powerful.
yeah, it is. It is. That's why you need to consider this. So that was our thesis, and that's how the game has changed. Now, how do we do this? And again, we already have halfway into this, so we're going to speed through this. Step one, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of time, but you need to have a mobile. I didn't just put website there. Step one and how to shine online, you need a mobile-friendly website. This is a good quote from Stephen Fogg. He says, a first-time visitor will define your church by their mobile search experience. So let's first look at the people you're trying to reach. Not having a mobile website hurts their interest in you, their desire to visit you, because maybe your website's not easy to navigate. They're not easily able to find what your doctrinal statements are, what you believe, what time your services are, where you're located. Now you're like, hey, that's not too many people, it's only for the hipsters. No. As of November, so this is old data, apologize, but shows you the impact. As of November, Google released their numbers. Over 50% of searches were done on a mobile phone. So those people, it's over half the people who are doing searches, possibly looking for a church. They're doing it on their mobile phone. Is your website, if it's not mobile friendly, it's hurting their experience. Let alone, not only just the people, it's frustrating the search engines. And what do I mean by that? Well, Google now, as of last June, so it's been happening as we talk, they're penalizing websites that aren't mobile friendly because they want to serve their customers, us, who search, they want to give us mobile-friendly websites. So if your church doesn't have a mobile-friendly website, you're being penalized by the search engines, and you're making your potential visitors frustrated. You're not helping them in their research of why they should visit you. So mobile website is step one. Not just a website, but a mobile website.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jason. We can't really stress that enough to everybody listening, that it's absolutely necessary. I mean, it's just the way the world is today. And if your current website isn't mobile friendly, is it not, it's very easy to answer. If any of you have any questions about whether your website is mobile friendly or not, we can help with that. So just contact Jason or myself. We'll have our email at the end. Or you can even call us, and we can do that for you. Very easy to find out. So just contact us on that. We'll help you.
Yeah, and it's neat. Google even has a test. They're not going to penalize you without knowing. They have a test. You can plug your URL in, and it will tell you if you've made the mark, and if you haven't, what areas you need to fix on your website. So they are helpful that way. They're not just penalizing you for no reason. Right. So step one, mobile website, how to shine online. Step two, you need to be found in search. When people search. And I break this up into three categories, or three important aspects of search that you need to show up in. Why is this important? Well, we know people are searching for churches. When they see your sign, when they even hear about it from one of your loyal members who loves your church, they're going to do research. So before even you see this near me, so cover that for a moment, before you even capitalize or you show up on that search, you need to make sure that your church name, no one cares about your URL. People hear URLs, they're typing in your name where your church is located. You need to make sure that when you type in your church name, and if you're in the area, type in the area you're located, that's showing up, at least in the first top 5 search results. So church name is number one. But near me is something that has been growing and growing and growing ever since, especially the mobile phone, since we have these little geolocator devices in our pockets and Google knows where we're at. It grew over 130% last year, people typing in near me. And this isn't just pizza near me. This is church near me. This is Bible study near me. This is opportunities for my kids, summer camps near me. This is also big expensive items. So it's this near me search. You need to make sure that when people type in church near me, you're showing up. It's not just near me, it's locally, nearby, any of those local type searches. Now, why is this important? Well, 90% of search results will not go first page. 90%. So if you're not showing up on the first page with your church name, that's a problem. With church near me, you're missing 90% of the people. And not only that, they stop after the first 5 listings. So are you showing up in the top 5? That's what's critical. Search is critical. And there are a few pieces that help with that, I'll get into in one moment. But I want to take you to the third step to think about. So it's not just your church name. It's not just the near me searches. But what about the questions people have about life? They're deep questions. It could be help with unwanted pregnancy. I need help with my drug addiction. I'm having financial troubles. How do I stop fighting with my wife or my husband? Your churches, they're the ones who started hospitals, education systems. We are here to help people, to not only preach the word, but give them bread and food and help them. Are you as a church showing up in these searches? That's the third tier. You need to make sure you have the first two, but that's the third tier. You want to make sure you're showing up on the first page of search. One of the areas, and this is, you make sure you highlight this. You want to make sure that your church has this, is a Google Plus, a verified Google Plus page. Now you see that little check mark? This is Church of the Highlands, a church we work with in San Bruno. That little check mark under their logo, that means they're verified. We've told Google we're real, we exist. We've branded it so it looks good, that we see their logo, their URL is there, their hours of operation are there, all the different services are on their About page. Now, why is this important? Google Plus isn't really for the humans, in and of itself. It's mainly for search and helping search show your page, show your church to more humans. Google owns Google+. They put a lot of credibility into the posts and the content that's on Google+. So you not only want to verify it, you want to post on Google+ as a church. Every single one of those posts are indexed. What that means is they are read by the search engines. So if you have multiple ministries, if you have ministries for married people, if you have biblical counseling ministries, if you have drug addiction ministries, if you have homeless ministries, if you have Bible studies you're trying to promote, you're putting posts in with all those key words. It's anchored in a local, your location based on your map and your address. You will start gaining search strength and credibility in those areas. So not only will this help your name search, people typing in your name, it will help your local search because you're being verified, you're having a lot of good content as this verified location on the internet, but you're also putting out content that touches a number of different topics that you want to be known for as a church. So I can't stress this enough. Make sure, and this is one of the first things we review in that digital analysis. Google Plus helps with search. So important.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Jason gets nervous when I say come up first, so I want everybody to come up first. But so we have to say at least the top 5. But you don't want to be, on page 5. So we want to make sure that you're coming up first, or at least in the top 5, so people are finding you online. And the good news is there really are just simple explanations as to why or why not you're not showing up where we want you to show up. So yeah. Sign up for the free, no obligation digital report. That's something that we'll cover, and we'll have the answers for it, is why or what you need to do to show up higher, right?
Yes, and hopefully you've noticed the image we're trying to build, how we liken to shining online. We have now built the light bulb. If you have a mobile-friendly website and you're working on getting found on the top page, those first 5 results, in your church name, the near me searches, and the problems that you help people face, you have built your light bulb. You exist stronger online. But the problem is there are 512 websites born every day. That is a lot of mobile websites even. Just having a place on the internet doesn't mean you're going to have a flood of traffic or a flood of people. The next step to shining online is turning on the light and going where the people are. I love this quote from Dr. Ed Stetzer. He says, social media is the 21st century town square. Back in the day, the town square used to be where people would meet and debate and ask questions and engage in conversations and commune, people on people, talking to each other, helping each other, answering their questions. I'm trying to get to know my neighbors, but even ask a lot of your members in your church, or ask yourself, how many neighbors do you know that you live around? When do you talk to them or ask them questions? Now I know there's exceptions, but we are spending our time, our town square is social media, where we're spending our time. And that's not just a quote or an idea. There's facts and figures that back this up. So notice the time spent on mobile devices, how it is eating up the time we spend on TV year over year over year. Okay, but what do we do on our mobile devices? Look at how much time we spend on social media. I know email gets us all down. We spend a lot of time there. But people are spending time in their social networks. And one of the biggest ones is Facebook. And again, this stat is old, but I like to keep some old ones in there just to show you that this number is growing. This month, again, it was back in 2015, late 2015, Facebook had 1 billion, with a B, active users on a single day. These are real people. Every single day, not only that, it's not just the people, but every single day, search engines, so helping you show up in search, turning on the light, every single day, search engines are reading your content on social media. And if it's not there, if there's no content, they're not reading anything. That's why this is important. You need to turn on the light and go where the people are. So, with our time left, we don't have that much time. I want to leave some time for questions. how do we, in general, best practices Facebook as a church? Well, here are some steps in how to shine on social. First step, you have to plan. Like a good diet, any goal you're trying to reach, you want to get healthy, lose weight, you want to have a better relationship with your spouse, you want to spend more time with your kids, you have business goals, you have goals for your church, goals and a plan for your social as a church. You have to start with a plan. You have to start with a strategy. In that strategy, you need to think of what type of content is worth sharing. What type of content can I produce that will get people talking, that will get people asking questions, sharing with their friends? And a great idea for this, I don't see a lot of churches doing, but you spend a lot of time doing this, pastors, repurposing your sermons. You spend a whole week studying a passage or a topic. Are you giving that sermon legs? What I mean by that, you're not just teaching it one time or two times on a Sunday. You're also giving highlights of it on Wednesday on social media. You're letting the people know how God is working in you as a pastor during that week of study through Philippians chapter 1. Those are the type of things that people want to see. And that's how you turn Facebook not into just another bulletin board, but it becomes a vehicle of ministry, another place to have ministry. So giving your sermon legs is great content worth sharing. There's other content too. I just wanted to throw that out there. And remember this, different channels require different types of posts. You wouldn't play your radio advertisement in a TV spot, just audio, most likely. You don't want to put your Facebook posts inside of a Twitter post. Now you can have the same content, you just have to speak according to that medium. So I know there's a lot of platforms out there where you can plug everything in and press play. You can't do that on most mediums. Now I will tell you this, little side note, Google Plus and Facebook, those are very similar in the photo arrangements and the copy requirements, so the word requirements. You can basically do word for word, image for image there. So there's a little nugget for you. But remember, once you turn this on, once you turn on Facebook, you're turning on the light and you're saying, hey, we're going to do this as a church, get ready to listen to what people are talking about and respond. Now, listening doesn't just mean people that have commented on your page. It also means doing a Twitter search in your zip code for people asking questions about marriage, because you may have a marriage conference coming up. You're listening, you're doing Twitter listening to people who are maybe asking questions about marriage, posting their marriage problems. Twitter is a good place for people to vent. A lot of venting happens on Twitter. And you can enter those conversations as a church. Hey, I know you have questions about communication in marriage. On Wednesday, a part of our marriage conference, we're talking specifically about communication. Love for you to join us. That's listening and that's responding within Twitter. And you can do that as a church. You want to build engagement around your content. And remember, it says right here, remember these pages are like the telephone. I'll take it a step further for a church. It is your telephone, but it's also your greeter at your church. It's your evangelist. It's that member who's out there inviting people and sharing your sermons and telling people they need Jesus and helping them with their problems. That's what Facebook or these social channels should be. It's not just a bulletin board. So with Facebook, here's an example, Church of the Highlands. I'm going to go through an example because that's how stories are best told. I don't want to give you just a bunch of facts and figures. So if you look to, it's my right, you'll see on the mobile device there's a picture of some sweet old cars, refurbished, beautified. One of the goals of Church of the Highlands, so they have three main goals. They have a lot of different events for their various ministries and different outreaches, so we highlight those. We target people for those. They also want to do direct ministry through Facebook. So we share snippets of the sermon, we share articles on prayer, on reading the Word, we share verses of encouragement so that we can encourage them right then and there where they're spending their time on Facebook. Then another aspect is we want this to be a tool for their members to reach more people, so to share, comment, because even though we're connected, and this is an old picture, we're connected with over 1,000 people, indirectly we're also connected to those 1,000 people's friends and family that we can, through them, invite and engage in communication. So that's the power. You want it to become a referral, word of mouth type of powerhouse for you. But if you look on the right, one of their key events during the summer is the car show. So we had a great review video of last year's car show we uploaded to Facebook. Facebook loves video, so make sure video is part of your content strategy. We targeted males in a 5-mile radius of the church who are interested in cars. We had close to 6,000 views of this video, but more importantly is one of their best attended events. That is reaching real people and moving people to action. That's what you can do on Facebook. Now, another specific example for them. Remember what I said. Once you turn this on and you start communicating, get ready for questions. Get ready to enter real conversations with real people. So this is Jeff. I'm protecting his identity. Jeff private messaged us, and again, we work for this church, so we have a liaison there. We always run, if there's anything like this, we always run it past them. But Jeff reached out to us and said, hey, I'm curious about looking at the church. I'm looking for a Bible church. So without going too specific, he said, hey, he's basically saying, I'm interested. I got aware through Facebook. I'm now interested. Well, we wanted to send him to our About section that lists all the various Bible studies he can attend. So we sent that link, very personable. Here's a link. Contact us. So actually call us. Talk to a real person if you need help. So he thanked us right away, and he went a little deeper. So you open the conversations, you talk to people, he went a little deeper. He essentially told us his wife is more spiritual. He's in this searching phase. But one thing that really excited him was that Church of the Highlands does baptisms. For some reason, this intrigued him, and he said, I'll pray and write again soon. This was on a Wednesday or Thursday that we received these messages. And we don't want to spam him. We don't want to keep asking, did you go to Bible study? Did you go to church? So we're there for him, even on Facebook. We don't want to hound him. But remember what I said. Part of our strategy is to help communicate the various events they have. So we're on top of every single event and outreach they have. But we were confused when we got this message on the following Monday or Tuesday of the next week. Jeff said, I have a question about tonight's dinner and a movie at church. I know it's Italian sausage spaghetti, but is there going to be an option or other options with regular meatballs? So essentially, he doesn't like Italian sausage. But we were confused because this event we didn't publish. It wasn't on our radar. We didn't know where it came from. So we called our representative. We let her know, hey, maybe he went to the wrong church. We're not sure. But she said, oh, sorry. We actually didn't tell you about this event. It was a last-minute decision. We announced it on Sunday for the following week. We're just doing a dinner and a movie for our members and whoever attended, and they can invite their friends and family. Boom. Jeff visited that Sunday. And although he's still searching, he's not super comfortable, he was comfortable enough to not only come to the event or ask questions about the event, he was comfortable enough to say, hey, are you only going to be serving Italian sausage? That is awesome. I mean, I'm okay with that. Unfortunately, we had to tell him it's only Italian sausage, but there'll be plenty of garlic bread and salad that you can eat. That is why we do this. So yes, you need a website. Yes, you need a mobile website. But there are real people out there who have real questions, who are searching, who are maybe interested. Are you engaging in conversations with them? Now, to finish up the story, this was back March 7th. We posted this, and it was just a simple post. Had a great article on how to prepare for Easter Sunday. And you can see Jeff commented that he is being baptized Easter Sunday at Church of the Highlands. So this was past Easter Sunday. That's why we do what we do. Yes, we've increased their likes from 0 to over 1,000, and they're real people in an area that people can actually visit. So these aren't robots attached to their page. We're getting more engagement. We're getting people to their events. But this is what it's about. It's about reaching the Jeffs of the world, getting them plugged in, being a real human on Facebook, not being spammy, not being irritating, answering their questions, and having the Holy Spirit work through this medium. That's all it is. It's another medium to communicate. Are you using it? So how do you shine online? Mobile, you have to do it. You have to be found on search, and remember those 3 areas: your name, the near me searches, and answering their life's questions. So help with divorce, help with debt, and you have to turn on the light. Are you in the town square where all people are spending their time? This isn't just for the hipsters or the millennials. These are real people spending their time asking questions, hungry for the word, the ministry God's given you. Are you going to turn on the light? So I know we sped through things. Let's see, we're at 37. So if you need to leave, make sure that we can answer your questions on the one-on-ones. But Carl, do we have any specific questions?
Yeah, and thanks for sharing your knowledge with us today, Jason. We appreciate it. Amen to good old Jeff. But yeah, we do have a couple of questions, so let's see how many we can get to. First question, online marketing is extremely important. I completely agree. But I have a small church, and this is a big involvement. How would you go about having an online campaign with a limited budget?
That's a great question. It's easy to waste time and money in the online space because there's thousands of places. Now, unfortunately, this is a question I can't 100% answer because I don't know your particular situation. But just remember, two points when you're talking campaigns. That Valentine's campaign only cost me 43 cents. That campaign for Church of the Highlands that had 6,000 views and got people to the car show was under $25 for that ad. Now, it's easy to waste money if you're not strategic and specific, but it's also easy to be very inexpensive and effective. So that's a good question. But let's make sure to talk, and we can look. I don't know if it's for just awareness that you're trying to accomplish. So there's a little more specific information I can give you, but that's a good question. You can waste it, but you don't have to.
The question here is, with social media and online videos becoming such a dominant theme in church outreach today, can the Light Digital help in that area of my church?
Yes. So the 2 good news points there. This little powerful device has greater quality HD capabilities than most cameras out there. So a lot of the video needs and what people like on these channels, they like the organic, they like the real feel, can be done with an iPhone, and we can give strategy there. But we also have more developed production teams. For example, we'll do church-type mini documentaries just to get to know the church, get to know the pastor and the ministries that we can do under 90 seconds, and those are also very affordable. You don't need to spend a lot of money to do it right in the digital space. That's one important note.
All right, well, we want to be respectful of everyone's time. So again, thanks everyone for joining us today. If you have any other questions or comments, make sure to reach out to Jason or myself. We're here and we're happy to help. And remember to make sure that you email one of us, call us to schedule that free one-on-one, no obligation custom report. It takes about 30 minutes for us to go through it. And we'd love to share that with you, and it's all part of what we do. So thanks again, and we look forward to talking with you all soon.
Thank you all so much. Really enjoyed it. I will see you all on the other side.